All right, so welcome to the second episode of Season 3 of New Champions Universe. Today, we introduce the character Alloy in the new format for our NCU, a solo storyline format. The character Alloy is played by Brennell, the developer of the hero mod for Tabletop Simulator. We've used his mod for the last 2 years for New Champions, and we're just grateful to have Brennell with us playing a character in Season 3. Alloy's character...
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Alloy's character is not aligned with any of the major factions which have taken root in 2072, the timeline that the story takes place in. There are four or three factions: the International Energy Regulation Agency, the leaders of the Free Energy Resistance, and the mysterious villainous group Level 37. For those who are joining us for the first time, imagine solo storylines as if they are a comic book focused on one character. But that comic book takes place in the same world where the exploits of all the other characters and teams from Season 3 also occur. There may be overlap at times, and there may even be crossover events. I bet there will be. But that is not the focus. The goal here is to explore Alloy and just let that be really awesome. And then, see what happens from there. So today, the first page of the comic book opens up with a tableau of images depicting Alloy as he is attempting to negotiate his way to the United States of America for his own reasons. And Brennell, I'm going to ask you to share just a bit about Alloy and his motivations and anything else you might want to add about playing today.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Alloy's background. He's a wanderer. He's got problems. He doesn't quite understand or come to terms with what's happening to him after his accidental radiation exposure. His body is turning to metal, and with it becomes the cold, sharp shock of losing his own humanity, or so he feels. He doesn't think that he's right. He doesn't feel right. There's a change going on in his life. He's not quite sure how to handle it, and in true style, he's decided to run away from it rather than to deal with it. His background is that of an engineer, a naval engineer. He used to work on nuclear submarines for the United Kingdom, and was accidentally exposed to a radiation leak, and it was fatal, or so he believed, and he saved the rest of the sub, but unfortunately it was at the cost of his own life. Since that point, he was admitted to hospital, and it looked as though he was going to die, and then a miraculous recovery. The miraculous recovery occurred from home, where he was sent home for the last few days of his life to pass away peacefully with his family, his parents. He didn't pass away. One night, he woke up in a terrible shock to discover that he was actually made of metal, and he'd undergone a mutation. And since that point, he survived and has found that he can alter the content of his body and turn himself metallic and any kind of metal. That's led to some amazing discoveries for him, and some really worrying ones. The amazing discoveries are the fact that he can use this to become immensely strong, change his density. There are actually some fairly light metals. He can increase his density. There's some really heavy metals. And in addition to that, he's got the ability to mix metals, or to alloy, and that's where his name comes from, to gain benefits for himself. He was paid off, or he was given kind of a payoff for his accidental injury. The fact he survived didn't go unnoticed by the British or UK government, and they've been looking for him or watching him ever since. He decided to get away from that, and he's decided to head off and join the Merchant Marine and travel around the world while avoiding any contact with people, while he learns all about his abilities safely in international waters with no one watching. So while on ship, which is a relatively boring experience for quite a lot of sailors, he has a tendency to walk the deck, and while he's behind various crates and boxes and containers, He has a habit of testing out his abilities and occasionally tries lifting a container and all kinds of things to work on it. His fear is the fact that when he becomes metal, he becomes slightly cold. And I don't mean that in terms of temperature, I mean that in terms of personality. And he can sense and feel his personality changing. He knows that he's becoming colder, sharper, harder. And those descriptions, which are typically applied to metals, are starting to apply to the way he thinks and the way he feels. So he's becoming, or feels as though he's becoming less human. The more he uses his metallic powers, the more he becomes less human. The character's at a bit of a crossroads. He doesn't know how to proceed from this point. He's not sure what to do or where to go. He's wandering. He's using it as a chance to experience his wanderlust, which is what he joined the Navy for anyway, is to go different places and see it. So he's following that side of his life. The money that he got paid by the government is in a trust fund, which makes him slightly wealthy, but not much. But it's enough to get away with it. And he used a chunk of that money to buy an identity, an alternate identity. And he travels around under the alternate identity as someone from Spain. He was mainly brought up in Gibraltar, which is a British territory. He speaks fluent Spanish, idiomatically, and is quite comfortable. And he kept the same first name, which just shows how a really poor spy he would make. So he's looking for himself, really, and to work out how and where he's going to be and what he's going to do. He has a slightly heroic side to him. Obviously, you could tell a man who was willing to sacrifice him to save his crewmates in a nuclear accident. It is not unheroic. But the effect that the metallic body has on him sometimes drags him back away from that. He's colder. And he's going to see whether he can manage to keep his humanity the more he becomes either a hero or a villain, potentially, depending upon what happens in his life. There you go. That's
awesome.
Alloy in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So I will say there's a a portion of, and first of all, fantastic backstory, and I think it's a perfect lead-in for the kind of the not ambivalence, but the potential to go either way for our storyline. There is an opportunity that Alloy has as he's making negotiations to get upon a ship. If you'd like to roleplay that, you can. Otherwise, I can just skip ahead to where he's on the ship, which interestingly is named the U.S. Wanderer. You referred to him as a Wanderer, and I didn't. I mean, I purchased this asset, but if you look on the side of it, the ship is called the U.S. Wanderer.
And that's most probably, I feel no need to play the him getting on the ship. It most probably is one of the reasons why he chose to do so.
Yeah.
He's led by instinct at the moment, and freedom. So as far as he's concerned, there would be a certain fit to that, and he'd most probably apply and join the crew. He generally doesn't ask for a lot of salary, but has quite a lot of experience with it, naval engines.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good with that as an approach.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that I'm going to ask for you to roll, just to have a general awareness around the ship and the ship's purpose and the captain and the folks that are on. Like this is getting your bearings. I just always think it's interesting to roll those things, and I think you have some applicable skills for it, maybe streetwise. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I do. Let me just pull that up. Yeah, I do. I have streetwise. Do you want me to roll it?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of any others that you may have that would be good to see. That's probably the one that's going to give you the best. So yes, I think so. And if you would also 2 dice for hero points, which we do use.
I didn't know we used hero points. That's fun to find out.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right, so let me do roll maker and roll that.
Do you have any professional skills as a sailor that would be
I was looking to naval ships. Yeah, naval engineer.
I do. I have knowledge skill naval ships, knowledge skill Royal Navy, and professional skill naval engineer.
Fantastic.
So I'm now going to roll streetwise.
And I won't keep up with your hero points, so that's on you. And if you want to make it, you can use one of them.
Okay. What did he roll? He failed by 1. No, I'm okay with failing by 1.
Okay.
Let it happen. He's very much a free spirit, so whatever happens to him, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just say then that his introduction on the ship seems almost fortuitous. And the captain, there's really a light crew on this ship. Small ship. It's only carrying maybe 7 cargo ships. And I think even just basic intelligence, you would know, hey, that's a light cargo, right? This is not a lot going on. And Captain Statham, I didn't make it. Sean asked me if his first name was Jason, and it is not. It's Jensen. I'm kidding. Bad pun. Um, so the captain, there's a man who goes by the name Raz, who is kind of sitting over here on the side of the ship, and then there's another crew hand by the name of Brown. So there may be some other folks on the ship, but for general purposes, those are the ones that are clear to interact with, and you can talk with them and things like that. But when you would consider that they were just exactly one hand short. Your skill sets are perfect for them, and there's nothing untoward about the cargo or the purpose. Um, you, for folks that are listening in that are new to this season, energy and the consumption and production of energy are highly regulated. And so Captain Statham would have had to have, and does, have a certificate that authorizes him to produce energy sufficient to cross the Atlantic. He has an approved route to Red Hook Terminal in New York City. What is it, between New York and New Jersey? And depending on where you would have wanted your character to leave from, that's where I said Port of London. But if you're saying that he's in Spain, then surely there's a port that he could be leaving from. But anyway,
no, he can leave from the UK. That's
okay.
Absolutely fine.
Okay, so he's Port of London, coming out, approved route. Is there anything, and you've spoken a bit of it in your background or in your kind of a lead-in about him testing his powers on the ship? Anything else particular? The route's going to take what I think like 6 or 7 days. I think is what it takes to get just straight across. I did some research to see, but it's a time. You're going to have plenty of time to get across to the Red Hook Terminal in New York City. Anything you would want to be doing as a character while you are there?
Yes. So, in principle, Alloy feels as though he's kind of on the run, and feels slightly concerned about that. He feels somewhat safer on board ship, and therefore engages in conversations with people on board the ship. But generally, he tries to avoid talking to too many people because it draws attention to himself.
Okay.
In his normal human form, he's relatively good looking, relatively charming, quite a normal person. He has no tendency to draw attention to himself where possible. He tries to be relatively calm and quiet, normal person. On board the ship, he has a tendency to want to work the night shift. Often that's the least popular one of the shifts because you can't see anything, can't look at the sea going by, you're just in the dark. And he often uses that opportunity during his breaks and so forth to head up on deck, and he will attempt to lift containers. He's still amazed at his own strength, and is coming to terms with the fact that a human being can actually lift a container, let alone more than one potentially. And so he's kind of challenging himself when no one's around. But he's very careful about the way the containers are stacked on the ship because he knows that if he lifts them in an unequal fashion, you can rock a ship. They start to oscillate back and forward because of the change in position of the weight. And container ships are very carefully loaded to stop that happening. So he tends to lift down the center line when he does it.
Okay. So are you trying to think? You're trying to keep your power secret from the crew?
Yes, he does not at any point reveal his powers to anyone. He is trying to stay quiet and not draw attention. He also obviously heard, even while he's at sea, he's heard somewhat about the fact that people with powers have to have them licensed. He understands, all kinds of stuff like that. And he is not. He's trying to stay off the radar, so he has a tendency not, where possible, not to reveal his powers.
Okay. So if you are doing that in some of these night shifts, you have the everyman skill of stealth. I don't know if that's the appropriate, but you're doing something that does require a bit of
Or concealment.
I don't know.
Yeah, he has concealment and stealth at 8 or less.
Yeah,
So.
and I can say you're what is the equivalent in Hero of setting and practice? Like you're being very careful. So you'll have some bonuses to this, and it's also in the dark, but it's very precarious too. I would say, I don't know, kind of throwing out an 11 or less. If you were trying to be concealed with an everyman skill in the normal effort of concealment, that's 8 or less. But at night, no one watching, very few people on the ship. How about it? Do you want to make a stealth or concealment roll?
I'll happily make a stealth roll. I'm just trying to remember the flip side of the modifiers. God, how did I write that? The first version of it was the wrong way around.
Yeah, if you press
you
it.
put for a bonus is a +3, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I'll put that in the modifier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that the wrong way around the first time I designed this game.
So it took away from.
Yeah.
Did you fail or did you make it?
14 failed. So obviously someone's caught wind of him doing this activity.
Yeah. So maybe maybe you were a little. It's shift change time. It's dark, but the sun is setting still, so you can see a little bit. And you lifted as Raz was on his way down the deck, and so he hadn't gotten far enough away yet. And he felt the shift, or maybe he heard the clunking or something like that. And so he comes back, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on down here?" And he asks the question. He's, you all have had good enough conversation up to the point that he's not accusatory, but he felt the ship shake, and so he's.
Okay, so we've got a first problem for Alloy then. Alloy, when he's in metal mode, if he changes back, he takes a huge hit against his endurance, and that's his significant negative for him changing back. The question is whether he would remain visible, if that makes sense, or try and evade. So could you describe the situation? Can Raz actually see him? Has Raz actually seen him in metal mode?
He hasn't yet.
Or can he?
Yeah,
Can he hear him coming round?
Yeah, so he's
Okay.
coming back around asking. So he's not fearful or anything like that. So he's kind of like walking down the containers, and he's like, "Oh, what is that? What do I hear back there?" And he's what's your character's proper name? Not Alloy. What does he go by?
Charles.
Charles.
Charles in the Spanish form.
Yeah.
Charles. Yeah.
So he's asking, Charles, is that you back there?
Okay. So bad news about that. That's not fun. I kind of quickly drop the container, which is not a good thing to do, but there we go. And then there's a 55-point endurance drain to switch back.
Yeah. So
which is.
Go ahead.
Now, what does that mentally translate to as 55? That's 11d6, isn't it? Well, that's going to be interesting.
Is he going to
Yes.
faint?
No, it's going to take his endurance out. It doesn't knock him out, though. When endurance goes to 0, if you try and move, you have to pay with stun.
Okay, so he will look. Oh, let's just see. Let's just roll it. Yeah, let's do and see what it is.
Yeah, so this is 11d6. Which gives him 45 points worth of 45 endurance drain. And it's a multiplier for endurance, isn't there?
2 times. So he's, and you don't go negative
he
0.
Loses,
yeah.
He'll lose 90 endurance, but he's in secondary mode, and endurance in secondary mode is 74. So he's minus 16 endurance, or worse. So he kind of effectively drops to one knee.
Okay.
And most probably, as he drops to one knee, slaps the ground with his hand or something to try and look as though he's fallen over or there's been an accident.
Okay, so Roz is going to make his way, starting to run back here. He's hearing crushing and things like this. Can he get back here?
Yeah, he can get back there.
Dun, 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 dun. So he sees you, and is going to come close to you. Are you down to one knee or are you prostrate? Prostrate? What is the right word?
I'm
Yeah.
down on one knee with my hands kind of flat on the floor, looking as though I've either just fallen over or trying to look as though I've just fallen over, or just trying to get up. Either way would work. From that point, I'll kind of stand up and dust off my knees and kind of shake my hand as though I've hurt myself, and try and act as though I'd just fallen over and banged against the container. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna use one of your rolls to see if he can see through it. Oh yeah, yeah. He he's again he's not threatened, but he's not buying it. He feels like there's something more. Like he comes closer, maybe even tries to put his hand on you. Charlie, what is this? What's going on?
I just fell over.
This that didn't feel like a fall. Oh, that didn't feel like a fall over. The ship just moved. Lord,
Oh, well,
I'm overboard. Ah!
yeah, you got to come closer. You got to come closer.
I had to make custom colliders on this one because it was not a good asset for
Yeah,
it.
not a good model.
Yeah.
Okay, I just play it off as I just fell over and kind of banged against the container.
Yeah, he's kind of shaking his head. I don't know, man. He said, "Are you good? You good for the rest of your shift? I'm tired. I'm going under, man."
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Okay, he's still kind of giving you the kind of look, and then he turns. And he's gonna walk away. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, I kind of slide to the floor a little bit because it's going to take me off my head. What's my recovery? 12. So it's going to take me somewhere in the region of 2 phases, if we're measuring in that term.
Yeah.
To pull back enough recovery to get positive endurance.
Okay. So,
all right. So he sits there for a while, kind of getting his breath back.
yeah, and we're not in combat, so I can just say, story-wise, you kind of see some comic book panels of him maybe slumped back up against a shipping container, and I don't know what would he be thinking while these are thought bubbles, right? As he's sitting there, is he regretting? Is he frustrated with himself? How does he feel while he's regaining?
It's two things. Two things. Number one is he's actually genuinely exhausted, because that's what his change does to him. So he kind of feels that, and he looks that in the panel. Secondly, he's sitting there thinking, that was too close. That was stupid. I need to check around before I do this again. Yeah. He's berating himself.
So, in the panel, he's berating himself, but maybe like the third panel of the comic book is the beautiful sunset, and it is kind of like a foreshadowing of maybe even like dark words. That was close. This trip has been perfect, but will it stay that way? That kind of thing. It's very, very a foreboding scene. The night shift is uneventful. There's nothing, no baddies, no untoward things, no sharks, nothing like that. So you're just kind of on the route going through the North Atlantic. And unless you have other things particularly that you would want to do, I would say some days pass and shifts happen. Roz hasn't asked you about this again, but he's kind of he is acting differently toward you. Just there's an oddity about you. If you want to have conversation with him, you can. If you want to try to resolve that, you can. If not, I can move forward some days.
No, I think Charlie's modus operandi is to avoid rather than to engage. So from that point of view, he's an avoider. He'll move to avoid.
So there's another person on the ship named by the last name of Brown. I don't know if you would have engaged with him. Raz, you're kind of avoiding now. Would you have talked with Brown?
Yeah, I'd happily talk to Brown, talk to anyone. But he thinks he came too close with Raz, and he thinks he most probably knows something he shouldn't do, or he's worried that he does. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe get a maybe another streetwise roll as you're
Certainly.
talking through Brown. So you'll get all your bad rolls out of the way, so that when combat comes, yeah. So
Yeah.
truly, these guys are just upstanding dudes, and it's almost like maybe you feel like they could have been in the service, but you feel good about them, right? So
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
I'm not sensing anything wrong here at all.
not at all.
No, there's lots of opportunities. Do you want me to talk? I'll have a chat to the captain at
Yeah.
some point or another.
Yeah. So maybe in the second or third day, he makes a stroll around and is shaking hands with everybody, appreciating everyone's watch for the cargo, and it's been a good trip. The winds are at our backs. He's kind of all the sailing lingo, and maybe you'll take a streetwise with him. If you fail this one, for goodness sake, God, man,
350% rolls in a go.
you're getting them all out of the way. Again, I mean, it's like what a rarity that you have such a ship with limited cargo, limited crew. The pay is good. The captain's upstanding. Everybody has just really welcomed you here, and it's almost like if they make this trip again, you would do it in a heartbeat. That kind of feeling, really good feel here.
One of the problems that Charlie does have is though,
Don't jinx it.
no, one of the problems that Charlie does have though is he's looking around and no merchant ships like this. They're all doing something slightly odd.
Mm-hmm.
They make their money out of kind of moving things around and often for the wrong kind of purpose.
But that's the rarity of it. The rarity of it. Like, how could it be?
Yeah, and that's what's making him go, there's something wrong here. It's too perfect.
Okay, fair enough. But you wouldn't have gotten a clue of what the cargo is, or their motivations, or where they came from, or any of the good stuff there. So that's funny. Or maybe you bought their stories or things like that. So, okay, so the trip is still uneventful. There's no arguments. These guys aren't fighting with one another.
This is paradise for Charlie, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's ignoring him, and he's having his life, and he's doing his thing.
Yeah. So it's maybe day 5, and the ship stops and sets anchor, and you are not anywhere inside of the Red Hook terminal. And even with your knowledge, skills, and naval past, you're not anywhere near that. And maybe you scan the distance, and you see it.
Can I tell if are we still in international waters?
Yeah, you are.
So there's no land in sight then.
That's right. Well, you maybe see like some land in sight, but it is not. You are not anywhere near. And I don't want to reveal because of my ignorance. But yes, you're still in international waters. You may see what looks like some land in the distance, but you're too far to know. And it's clear you would know because of your professional skills. Whatever that land is, it's an island. It's not. It is not the mainland or anything like that. So the ship is anchored, and I don't know if that kind of come to a halt does anything for you, or if you think about anything, you want to do anything, but it is just stationary.
It doesn't make sense to me. Ships just don't. Keeping the engines ticking over and moving forward all the time is a good thing. It's more cost effective for fuel for a ship. So Charlie kind of wanders up and goes up to Brown, who's there, and says, and asks him, "Hey, what's going on? Why have we stopped?"
Hold on a second. Brown doesn't know, and he is he's kind of looking around, and maybe just a perception roll, if you will make one, please.
Certainly.
Since Streetwise has not worked well. Hey, yeah, you can tell
just though.
He's unsettled. It's genuine. Like, he doesn't know why the ship has stopped. This was not part of the plan. But he also doesn't know why it's stopped. So you can tell that he's a bit surprised. It's genuine, and it's not part of the plan. You were supposed to keep going until the port of the Red Hook terminal port in New York City.
That's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wander up to the bridge.
Okay. So you will go up to the bridge, and there's a door. Do you want to try to open it? If you do,
Yeah, sure. I'll try and open it.
it's locked.
Shock horror.
Mm-hmm.
Can I bear in mind in human form, Charlie has 15 strength, which is not inconsiderable.
Yeah.
Can I try and open the door?
It's one of those. Not. It's like the what is it? The circular rotate doors. It is not a easy open door. You're gonna have to like. It's metal.
Is it like a port?
Yeah, it's like a port door. Yeah, portal door. But you're not able to turn it to unlock it.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge would be accessible to crew almost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is Raz a passenger or part of the crew?
Part of the crew. Part of the crew.
We're not carrying any passengers, are we?
Nope. Nope.
That doesn't make any sense.
Do you want to talk to Raz?
Are there any other crew around visible?
No, they're not. And on my ignorance, I don't know if a cargo ship could have this few crew, but this is what I'm.
Oh, no, there'd be more than this, but they'd all be off doing things usually.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are the only folks that you could probably get a hold of. But yeah, they're all doing stuff.
Okay, so I'll take the opportunity to move down to speak to Raz.
Okay. You want to make just a general intelligence roll or perception roll?
No.
What in the world? So even in that, he's telling you he has no idea why the ship has stopped. You can't get a read on him, and you maybe chalk it up to the fact that he's mistrustful of you now, but you just can't get a read on him. If he's lying,
Is he looking in it? As I was walking towards him, did he appear to be looking in any direction?
Yeah, he's looking up to the bridge too. Like he might even be going up to the bridge right now. Like the ship has stopped. They don't know why. Raz is going to go and talk to the captain.
I'll follow him.
Okay, so he goes up to the bridge, and falls into the water.
He's very good at that.
Come
No,
on.
there's no collider underneath on the side, is there? You'll have to go on top.
I didn't make one there, did I? Come on.
No, just put him on the top. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So he goes up to there. Are you gonna go up there with him? And
yeah.
So he's pounding on the door, and he's screaming, "Statham! Statham! Why are we stopped?" The captain, he's, maybe he's cussing back at you, and he says, "Go back to your post." You hear the captain scream back to you, "Go back to," and it's the captain, but he's telling you, "Go back to your posts."
Yeah, that doesn't feel right. And so I kind of bang on the door and say, "What's wrong? What's going on?"
He responds back with another kind of a scream. "Nothing's wrong. I haven't hired y'all to think about things or think about what's wrong. I hired you to do your jobs. Go back to your posts."
I'll look over him. What's happening with Raz at the moment? How's he reacting?
Yeah, he's confused. He looks on his face confused. Like maybe he's also pounding on the door as you were pounding on the door. And when the captain spoke, he stopped, but he's not buying it either. Raz might even say, "We have a job to do. We got to get there in 3 days. This is what we're supposed to be doing, and this is throwing us off track." And he says similar things like, "This is wasteful. We got to get back on track. Why do we harbor off some Why would we be, anchored off whatever that island is out there? You want to make an intelligence roll given your naval ship run. You don't like have oceanography. Naval engineer would probably be the best. Maybe you want to make a naval engineer roll with a minus, see if 9 or less. Just kind of like guess where you are.
Naval engineer, sure.
I don't.
So I'll deduct 2.
Gosh, you made that.
Yay!
That's kind of cool.
It can happen. It can.
We can. So you kind of surmise that you are just the direction you were at, the speed you were going, the days that you've been. You all are anchored off of Bermuda.
Been to Bermuda. It's lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. It's wonderful. The sunsets are better there. I'm kidding. I've never been.
That's a beautiful place.
And I didn't know how to answer. Is it that far off of Bermuda? I think it would still be international waters. I think.
Yeah. Britain would disagree with that, but as long as you're more than 11 miles away, you're in international waters. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I mean, yes, you're off the coast of Bermuda. It's pretty much close to being in the middle of the, it's in the Atlantic. You're nowhere near America. Let's put it that way.
That's the point. Like, good light. Where are you guys at? Well, you just happen to surmise that that's where you are, and you feel pretty confident about it.
Okay.
Not part of the approved route, and
it would not be the direct route to New York either.
And also, maybe make an intelligence roll on this one. Because I don't know if you're. Yeah. The consumption of energy here to get you from here to New York is going to exceed the authorized amount. The longer you stay
sense.
here, and the IERA has very strict guidelines for that.
Yep.
Okay, so do you want to do anything more specific here? You kind of know your heart, you're anchored off of a place that is not part of the approved route. You're waiting, you're wasting energy, you're going to create a violation. What will you do?
Turn around to Raz and say, if I was to guess, I'd say we're over near Bermuda, which is way away from where we're supposed to be. We can't make it with the energy allocation we've got for this trip to New York from here. So we're going to be in violation. Do you know what's going on?
His face, when you say that, his face he's like a grimace. And maybe he would even say, I don't need this kind of trouble. I'm doing this kind of work so I can get away from that kind of trouble. And he might even cuss, damn it, Statham, I thought you would keep it straight. And his answers are very clear. He does not know why the captain would have done this. Anything else you would want to do right now?
If I was to transform into Ally, I would certainly wait until Statham. So until Raz had moved away from the bridge.
Yeah, he's going to continue to pound on the door for a while. And he's trying, maybe even Brown comes up too. Like, everyone's restless. The crew is confused and restless. You can see all the folks that are working and maybe stopped and are kind of paying attention to what's happening up on the door to the bridge. And it's
there's two access ports to the bridge normally. I'll go around to the other side of the ship and try through the other access port.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that locked off as well?
Yeah, they're both locked. I'm going to put Brown
All
on top as well. Okay, so maybe you all are up there a few minutes. Make a perception roll, if you will, please. Is that it right there? Oh, yeah, you get the good rolls. So you as you were walking to the other side, and maybe you're on this side. Did I just lose
Yeah,
my?
yeah,
Yeah, you're on. Let's
yeah.
say you're on.
There.
And you see on this side of the water bubbling all around. And because you are a part of the Navy previously, you know something is coming up.
Yeah, that's the sign of a sub coming up. It's blowing its ballast.
Yeah, something is
Ballast tank.
coming up. While
So
this,
I tell the other two, look over there, and I point at it and say that looks like something's coming up.
yeah, and they cuss and what, and their eyes get big. They have no, you can clearly tell maybe they brace themselves on the sides of the railings. Maybe even some of them go down, like Brown goes down, uh, down level, and maybe is kind of over here, making his way down here to kind of see what it is. You all are welcome to move down as well. That's what he's going to be doing while whatever it is that's coming up is coming up. And I will place it. Something is coming up. It is about to come up. Let me send it. So it takes a good, 20 minutes. So if you want to do something while this is happening, you feel free to. But this is what, and I don't have an animation to bring something up, so I'm just going to send it out there.
No, that's absolutely fine. Whoa!
So this came up from the water. It's like a
While this was coming up slowly but surely, Charlie will go back down to his quarters, grab his duffel bag, shove everything of any value in that he owns, and bring it up and throw it down on the deck near where he's going to stand.
okay.
Yeah.
Let me do some
Because
preparatory
he
here.
thinks something's really weird going on here. You just don't see something that big rising out of the water normally.
Oh yeah. Gotta do a bit of prep. Not insane. Okay, load. Right. Then I'm gonna give the guys their characters. Gamer. Sorry. All right. Will you repeat maybe the last bit? You've gone down. You've gotten your duffel. You've got your bags, and then you've kind of stationed yourself at a place on the deck. Is that right?
Yeah, roughly where I'm standing now on the deck. The duffel bag is on the deck next to me.
Okay.
Um,
What would you consider that? Half cover or full cover? Trying to think.
the deck, the side of the ship. Usually the railing isn't as high as it's portrayed here, and not necessarily solid, but yeah, half cover.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we are going to be in combat phases. You see, all these military and even different like vehicles. You even see some copters. Um, maybe perception roll to see if you kind of spot the different fighters and just different things that are out here. You will eventually, but let's see what you see. Okay, yeah. So you get the view. You see what you see. Everything that's on the table, you see. And maybe you have heard. No, I don't think you have any skills that are supers or kind of the world at hand. Yeah, you don't. Okay, so you would not. You obviously these fighters that hover over them. They're called faceless fighters. They look menacing, and they're carrying assault rifles. You would also see that there are large turrets trained on the ship, and helicopters that are not spinning right now. These also capsules, metallic capsules. You see just a numerous amount of them lined up on the side of the ship. And we're going to go into combat. And guys, Gamer, you forgive me. I can't remember your first name. Are you still there? The Gamer, are you there? Are you muted? Are you there?
Sounds.
Socially stunted Zaku, are you there? Okay. Maybe he is not able to participate for now. Sean, we're going to begin the things. Are you taking team number A?
You gave me Team B.
Okay, so
I'm here. I just had to fiddle with the mute button.
Okay, so you all both made decisions about your tasks. So in this combat scene, this is what is happening. The measurement tools should be accurate. So if you want to measure and do the tasks that you've been assigned, please do. We will begin combat now. Allo, you go first. And do you take any action, Brennel, or are you going to hold?
Yeah, give me a second. I should be in Team Diamonds, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Is that appropriate? They're in Team Diamonds.
We're in Team Diamonds.
Team Diamonds. All we get is the turn viewer.
And I don't know how to appropriately do it. I think the mod gives all the players the same view, but when I have players playing bad guys, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know that it.
Oh, they should be in spades, I believe.
Yeah, if Gamer and I go to spades, we'll be able to see everything, but that's okay.
Yeah, you'll be GM side. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I change team to Diamonds,
oh dang it, that's
I get my turn view.
Great. Fantastic. So everybody's good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is where it gets somewhat interesting, and I need a slight moment of preparation if I'm okay with that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Sure. Speaking of preparation, comes out of which helicopter?
No one is coming out of helicopters. The helicopters are stationary there, and you all came up from the water. Maybe you took a door out onto the thing, or whatever the case may be. And
I did notice that all of our attacks are lethal. Can we have a non-lethal aspect to the rifle?
Is there a non-lethal version of assault rifles? I mean, I don't know.
Well, you could
rubber bullets.
No, go lethal.
I mean, that's
really just go lethal.
But these are assault weapons.
If we need a non-lethal attack, we can always punch somebody for 2d6, maybe 2d6 and a bit if the GM is feeling generous.
Yeah, and you have combat knives too, so.
Yeah, well, probably kind of hard to club somebody with a combat knife, but you know what? We'll manage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and also I put you up against the guy that's got resistant defense. I mean, he's made of metal, so that's the.
Yeah, and that leads me into my first decision point. In theory, I assume we're in 12, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of drop down on the deck, and so I'm out of sight effectively, and transform into alloy.
Fantastic.
And to start with, what do I go? What do I go for? What do I go for?
So many options.
No, there really are.
I know. You got your spreadsheet ready.
Yeah, I have got my spreadsheet ready. That's a really scary thing all on its own. I go into defense mode.
Okay.
So what that translates into is a running speed of 29 meters. I immediately shrink. And that makes me much smaller. In addition to that, my defenses are loaded for full. My constitution goes up 8. My strength is generally reduced, and my initiative settles on about 16. And my speed stays at 4. So I can move 29 inches in this mode, and I'm shrunk, so I'm really hard to see. Effectively, My maximum shrink puts me as my metals condense and I get denser and denser and denser. I literally become about 1.5 foot high.
Can you shrink
Okay.
yourself?
Will you become so dense that you fall through the ship?
No, I will not. The ship's got a metallic flooring. There is indeed, I know what my density becomes, and it is quite dangerous. I could not in this mode run around on the second, or what you'd class as the second floor of a building. Yeah, I would fall through most second floor buildings. Ships, on the other hand, the ship would rock slightly, it would slightly tilt, but it shouldn't make that much of a difference. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it is a problem, right? So if for instance, if that bridge, I better not be using that bridge kind of thing. That's not going to work. Yeah, and various other, unless it's meant to take containers. If it's built to take a container weight, it could most probably take me. But if it's flimsier than that, then not so much. So Alloy basically almost disappears from sight down to about 1.5 feet high. His defenses are all up. He also has absorption, and his killing resistance is up, which means, in theory, almost everything that hits him that's coming from like a bullet shouldn't make much difference.
I legitimately, and I don't know that I've ever had this conversation with you, but I don't ever kill characters. If you want your character to die, we'll figure it out and we'll make it. It's part of the story. So if that just somehow happens, that is not intentional, and we figure out how to retcon appropriately. But let's just let things happen.
No. He's built to take bullet shots, right? So his absorption absorbs metallic attacks.
Yes, that's
bullets are metallic attacks. So he effectively knocks 1d6. You effectively the damage roll, modifier for stun damage. That goes down -1 effectively when the absorption's turned on average. So he can and he gets endurance back from being hit by bullets because they're more metal, so he feels stronger. So tougher. So he's fine as he is. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
he shrinks, drops to the floor, and it effectively kind of transforms. I'm fairly certain Brown is paying attention to all the other people who's currently leveling weapons at him, so I don't know what Brown's going to do.
Yeah, he also is kind of like ducking, and maybe he is running to the right.
Yeah, he wants to get undercover quickly.
Yeah, he's trying to get, and he is going to try to get behind those cargo ships on the other side. But that is going to be on his turn, and he's going to go after everybody on segment number 12. So, why do I not have? Forgive me, I didn't add them to the scene. So just a moment.
No, it's fine.
I did add them. I just don't have them in combat. Okay, now I do. And actually, Brown, Statham, and Raz all have higher Texas than everyone, so they will go first. Brown doesn't see you do that because before you acted, he has run.
Yeah, this is one bit where my own mod does not do me any favors. My dexterity in the mod is 13 at the moment, but because of the transformation I just did, it's actually riding at 16. Not that I think that's going to get in the way of anyone else's dex, but it's higher than it looks.
Yeah. We have not wrestled with that, but we've created alternate JSON files to be able to have the different forms of them in the scene, so that
I also have lightning reflexes, which I've just turned on, so that's now on.
But that would have happened on your phase, so Brown still moved before you, and then now you have those benefits as you took your actions, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So Brown, wherever Statham is in the thing, he's doing whatever he's doing, and Raz also climbs down and is trying to make his way down to the back.
Okay.
So
all right. I check to make sure. I check when I'm transforming and changing to make sure they're safe. And out the way. In theory, I'm below the level of the railing at the side, so I shouldn't be visible from anyone down there. And most probably when I dropped, they wouldn't have seen me change, so they don't know anything that's going on. I think. Obviously, you may have a different view on that.
Nope, agreed. You dropped before you did your actions, and then you changed while you were on the ground, so they would not have seen you turn into Alloy. They just saw Charlie, if they even know who Charlie was.
Yeah, no, they would have had to been paying super attention, and with a dude right next to you running away.
Mm-hmm. So, in that 20 minutes of rising up, the kind of the walls, the doors opened to what you see. So this was not just exposed to the water. Of course, there were not elevator doors, but yeah. And then that little ramp clamped down onto the side of the ship, effectively, magnetized to the side of the ship with extremely powerful electromagnets. And they are connected to the ship. And now it's the team.
Now it is my... Oh, I'm these guys. Okay. Docking clamp secured. Move aboard. Secure the, Oh, god damn it. I'm trying to think of, like, the kind of, the word a soldier would use to refer to, like, the objective, if the objective is, like, a person of interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, secure the target.
I almost won't...
That works.
That sound... Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it does.
It works
I
for
suppose it
us.
does. I didn't want to say that because I thought that sounds a little too murdery.
No, you're good. You're good.
Eh.
All right. So, what will you do with your team A?
All right. Well, person number 1 is going to about that far.
Okay.
Yep. He's going. He's gonna run over to the other team and tell them you're securing the target. We are on cleanup.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's
Roger that.
A2 and
then,
3. Do you want to take them all? Or are they all moving over?
Yeah, they're gonna move as a unit
Okay.
to make this.
Very cool. Easier. Okay. Team B. What are you all doing?
So we're gonna start heading up the ramp.
I don't think you've got the stabilizer on them. I don't know if you want. Oh, look at that! They are stable.
Hey.
Did you add the code in for the stabilizer?
We have a little mod on the table that folks can stabilize things on. It does add code into them to put them.
Yeah. It should have just inject here.
Yeah, I think that's what it does. I haven't actually reviewed the code. I just am a grateful user. Okay.
That's just how good their training is.
Okay, so the guys have made all their moves and are making their way on board. The end of segment 1 or 12. If anyone needs to take recoveries, I don't know if Alloy needs to.
No, his cost so far is negligible.
Okay, we are in segment 4. Alloy goes first.
Okay, so in this segment, his multi-power effectively stays in the current structure.
Okay.
He's being cautious till he finds out what's going on.
I get to
he can move 29, run 29.
Okay.
He grabs his duffel bag and drags it along the floor as he moves. And with a half move, he gets behind the crate here.
Okay.
And stashes his duffel bag there. And holds the last half of his phase.
The one shader that I didn't fix.
Yeah, I spotted it on the back of the barrel.
Yeah, of course.
That's got to be the right place to hide.
Yeah, of course. The one.
So in theory, he's hidden behind the crate, which I'm assuming is bigger than 1.5 feet.
Yep.
And his duffel bag's stashed down there as well, so that's safe. And he's half holding to see what he can do later on or what's going to happen.
Okay. So Brown continues his move, full move, and he is on the other side behind the containers. Don't know where Captain Statham is, and Raz makes his way down. Oh crap, how can he get down there? So he is going to have to... How would you get down? I don't have
There he is.
I don't have an appropriate model thing, but there's a ladder there, and he's making his way down the ladder to that side of the thing. So they are both over there now. Faceless fighters, Team A.
I think I'll have my team. Advanced in position to cross the boarding ramp, and then whatever, like, assuming that doesn't take their entire phase, they'll hold the rest of it so that they can run across the ramp once the other team is already across.
I think it actually does take your whole phase. I just saw you move at 11, and I think they have 12. Is that right? Let's check there.
12, 24, yep.
Yeah, so you're using your whole movement to get them, and I think it would actually get them roughly right here. Of course it didn't.
Oh no!
So anyway, I will let you figure that out. My collider doesn't connect all the way out to the edge of the thing, that's fine. But you will be able to get on the boat in the next phase. So Team B, if you all will go, please. Oh,
yep,
you already did.
I moved them up.
They're on the ship, okay. And they don't have any remaining... did they see anything? Looks like they're missing perceptions. Every one of them. The perception rolls are not rigged. I promise you.
Perception rolls are all failures.
I think he would have failed anyway because he's hiding behind the thing.
I see nothing.
Okay.
Just call me Sergeant Schultz.
Yeah. And you can... you're waiting for folks, so you can use your half action if you want to make a chosen perception roll. I think if you're making it, and I'm not asking you to, it takes a half action. Is that correct?
I don't know.
I do not know.
Like if you're going to a room and you're trying to make a look around, then that takes an action. If it's something that I ask you to do, I think I've always read that somewhere. But anyway, how do you want to use your last half action if you want to? Or do you want to just hold, continuing Brindle?
I'm going to keep it.
Okay. So we're at the top of segment 5. No one is acting.
Jason, did you see the message I sent you?
Oh, I didn't.
Stop.
Founders chat.
All right. So I get another go in 8, don't I? Okay, so these guys that are looking around, yeah?
Yep, they are.
Yes.
And the ones down at the other end of the bridge, aren't they? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Could I have a description, please? The way the bridge is hooked, it's going through the railing on the side at the moment. Can I assume it's either destroyed the railing or is it gone over the top of the railing?
Yeah, it's gone over the top of the railing, and it's magnet held to it. But they're having to kind of like hop down over the edge. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted the visual on that. So there is a railing there.
Yep.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to in segment. My next segment's 8, isn't it?
That's correct. You're holding until then, or do you want to do something?
No, I'm going to do something on. Why's it only got me for speed 3? Oh, you picked me up in primary mode, not personal mode. So sorry, I'm not in hero mode. I needed to be in secondary when you picked me up.
You want me to
Can you do me
take you out and then let you? Yeah.
Take me out and then bring me back in if that's okay.
Wait, primary and secondary mode?
Yeah, if you have
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so basically normal human Charlie's in primary at the top, and secondary is him when he's faster and more dangerous. I
wasn't aware that the mod could discriminate between the two stat sheets.
It does that. Yeah. You just need to right click on the word secondary in the tab, and it will bring up your secondary stats. So I'm going to have to act as though, because I could have gone on 6, couldn't I? In theory, because I was in that speed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask for a slight rewind, if that's okay.
Yeah, so you will take your held half before
Yeah.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first action would have been on 3, and I'm still holding half from 3. I then want to move on 5. Yeah.
Okay.
And the move on 5 will be to creepy crawly stealth round to just behind the railing behind them, following behind against the railing. Yeah. I've got a fairly significant shrinking modifier for the character for perceptional rolls.
Yeah. Well, you
Let me
make
just
and you also
let me
have
just
stealth too, right? An 8 or less.
yeah, I've got stealth 8 or less, but in addition to that, the perception modifier for his size change is, as I desperately rolling down. God, why did I put so many powers in this? There we go, osmium shrinking. So he's turned to osmium mainly at the moment, which is what enables him to shrink. He's got -6 on perception rolls to perceive him. Okay.
Okay, so
because you're metal on metal, do you make a clank, clank, clank as you're walking along?
yeah, we're gonna do 8 or less on your stealth, just everyman, and then I'll give them each a perception roll if you fail it, with a -6 on their perception rolls.
Okay, fine. That works for me. So he sneaks back round, getting ready in phase 5 for phase 6. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's stealth roll. No, not streetwise. Stealth. She's going to fail miserably.
But you do have 5 hero points if you want to make this one.
No, I'm fine with the actions. I'm good with it. That's fine.
So you do
live with the roll.
So you clank, you do clank, 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 as Sean has asked, as you're walking on the metal or something like that, and they will get a chance. Go ahead.
But they get a chance to look. Yeah, but they should still get the minuses. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they won't be able to act until it's their turn. So they are seeing you. Why don't you, B team? Oof. So you wouldn't have made it anyway.
Yeah, he wouldn't, but he's going to get -6. So, or is that already in?
I'm taking the -6 in there.
Oh yeah,
already in. Okay, fine.
Okay. Let's see about the third. Wow. So you clank, 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 but the ship is rocking because of the weight change distribution and the magnetism of the ramp. It's still kind of rocking, and they just don't pay attention, or they just aren't able to notice that you've clanked, clanked, clanked behind them. Maybe it's just not even. There's so much still noise from everything that's going on, so they have not noticed you. And it is now segment 6, your turn.
Okay, Charlie in segment 6 changes his multi-power. He moves out of primary defense mode, and he's going to take a bit of a risk to do this. He's not seen any weird energy kind of weapon gadgets. He's just seen normal rifles.
Mm-hmm.
So he drops his additional resistant ED as one of his defenses, and his defenses are split, so he can do that.
Okay, cool.
He drops that and instead pumps most of his spare points into the horrendous NND attack that he's got.
Oh, that's going to be a fun.
So he's got an NND. His NND, when it triggers, yeah, I can see infinitely right this moment how I could do all of this so much better if I'd have prepared a little bit differently. However, it's called a polonium skin explosion, and basically he makes a very thin outer layer of his skin into polonium, and then effectively a really minor amount into magnesium, which basically makes little pops. And in an area around him as an explosive blast, stun only, in an 11-meter radius, fills with polonium radiation. The only defense is force field or full lead lining, and it's an all or nothing attack. So it's a 5.5 d6 stun only area of effect.
How big is that
Yeah.
area?
11 meters.
Okay, so he is safe from it, but
Well, he doesn't get affected by it because he's effectively got full lead lining.
okay. So you
So
make
boom.
your roll. See if you place it in the proper spot.
And you
Well-
get all 3 of them, or just 2 of them?
Well, I don't really know the distance, so I'm just about to measure. There's only a 5, so if he's literally standing where he was there, the first one is like 1 hex away from him, or Do you use? Oh, by the way, quick question for your line measurements. Do you use grid, inch? What do you use?
Yeah, it is. And the table is set that way, so it should be.
Well, each individual can choose, so be careful.
It's grid. It's set to grid.
Okay, so I need to change to grid, 3D, auto, center, no logging. Okay, fine. So he is 2.7 meters from that guy there. He's 4.2 and
Yeah, he should be fine.
4.4 from the other one.
So he'll hit them all.
He'll hit them all. And it's 5.5 d6 NND.
Let's see if you hit the hex you're going for, or is it centered on you without a need? Is it like
centers on me, so it's DCV 0 effectively.
So
the modifiers say unless I roll an 18, I can't fail to hit, as I understand it.
It's not like a damage shield or anything. It's actually an area that centers on you.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
great.
So, well,
Yes.
no, it blows up from me, so it goes poof off of me. All right.
Yeah,
so
don't worry about rolling that then. I see the point. Okay.
Okay, so he now rolls the 5.5 d6 NND. Boom.
Birdie.
And he brings in 23.
And what's the no normal defense against?
Full lead lining or a force field.
Okay, they do not have that.
A fully covering force field, basically.
Okay.
So if you were wearing, for instance, a radiation suit, that would protect you because there's lead lining throughout a radiation suit. If you were wearing, if you had lead-lined skin like alloy, you could do that just by changing it, or if you've got a full-on force field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 27, 23 stun. Everybody, how are y'all doing with that?
And all 3.
Okay. And
obviously there's
don't do body.
yeah, there's no NND, so there's no. First of all, it's no body. It's sort of stun only, and secondly, it ignores all defenses, so nothing blocks it.
Okay.
And it would be energy if it did. Yeah.
Okay. So in segment 6, you were the only one that acted. Segment 7, segment 8, Brown is hiding, and so you don't know what happened as Statham is doing. Roz is also hiding. Team A, you all were preparing to make your entry aboard the ship, and you can.
They would have seen the attack.
Oh yeah, huge explosion. They would have
seen or heard the explosion.
That's interesting. The visual effect would be a greenish tinge in an area, like almost gaseous, because it's effectively like a gaseous attack. It's a radioactive gas. So they'd have seen a radioactive gas going off in this area in some way.
So it's less like a traditional explosion and more like a.
It's like a smoke bomb going off, or if someone was to throw a canister of tear gas, that kind of effect as it shoves off of his body and fills the area with greenish gas, which is actually radioactive poison.
Okay, so probably not like immediately attention grabbing until the soldiers notice the pocket of green gas accumulating.
Yeah, it's visible. It's clearly visible. Like, there's no way it's not. But it would quite obviously, it will affect them and do the damage to them at that point. Yeah. So you can see green gas. Does anyone have a Geiger counter?
There was no equipment provided with these guys, so I'm going to assume no. Not unless there's one aboard the fancy boarding thing.
There are no Geiger counters on your equipment, no.
For those that are affected by it, you suddenly feel a sudden wave of weakness go over you, because that's the way kind of radiation stuff occurs. Tingly skin where it burns your skin. It's fairly horrible. Polonium can kill people in enough density. This is a micro amount to do what it's doing.
I was about to say, oh man.
But it's a metal, so I'm using it.
So would the soldiers have been briefed about would they have been briefed on the possible presence of
oh no,
superpowered people aboard the ship?
No.
Okay. All right. Would there be some sort of like overarching protocol for that?
Overarching protocol for
like
the presence
Get
of
hit.
supers.
Like, would they have training of like, all right, listen, if you're in the field and you run into like combat with a superpowered person, right? This is what you do.
Run away!
Well, don't forget the other thing here. Really weird thing is they won't know it's come from a superpowered person. This looks like a literally, mustard attack, mustard gas, all that. It's not. It's radiation.
Yeah,
but it looks like someone's thrown a gas grenade.
Yeah, or like it could have been like a container that got punctured.
Yeah, but it's like either a gas grenade or gas spilling all around you, greenish gas, and you can feel it prickling on your skin and hurting you, kind of thing.
Well, but I can answer your question. So you don't know that this is a super involved right now, and no, you haven't. There's not been briefings on there's a super on board that you wouldn't know that.
Right.
But if you do encounter it, your group has tactics and teamwork, and the typical would be keep distance and shoot together to take out supers.
We actually don't have teamwork.
Oh, I thought you didn't. I intended you to.
Well, you can have it. GM says, yeah.
Oh, no, a second place this.
But we do have tactics, and that was something I was planning on having one of the soldiers do if it seemed.
From my understanding,
I think
if you were soldiers, and I mean soldiers, you'd had soldier training. This would look like something gaseous exploded, and for those in the cloud, they would assume that there's some kind of gas grenade or something getting through, and they'd have training in bacteriological/chemical warfare if that was the background. And they were soldier trained, and they'd know most probably they've got to get out of the gas cloud quickly and wash themselves to get it off.
Jumping overboard, trying to get into the water.
Okay. I'm going to presume that these soldiers are not equipped to handle that. Like their armor doesn't provide any sort of any even like theoretical protection against like a biological or a radiological agent like this. So
not at all. Their masks do give them flash defense, but that's it.
I'll just have team member A just at like as loud as he can manage at the soldiers that are on the ship already. Get in the water. And then he's going to turn to guy number 2 and tell him to basically check the hardware, see if there's anything we have that could get through this, and then he's going to tell guy number 3, all right, you and me, we stay right here, we hold the line, anything peeks over that railing and it's not one of ours, we shoot.
I appreciate that you didn't just go guns blazing in. Thank you for that. Okay, so you're holding, or all your teams holding full phase waiting?
1 and 3 are full phase holding, unless you think that was enough talking that 1 would have
Nope.
spent some of his action on it, and then
Nope.
2 is gonna like run back into the craft and like search the crates and the vehicles to see if he can find like protective gear or maybe some kind of gadget for dispersing chemical agents or something like that.
Okay. Okay, so Team B then, number 3, I guess you could recover from being stunned. Sean?
Yes, that's all I can do.
Okay, so all your B team guys are recovering from stun.
Okay, I will fix that.
Okay, thank you. We're at the top of segment 9, and Alloy gets to go.
You never guess what's going to happen right now.
Uh-oh.
Exactly the same thing that happened just a second ago as he donates another polonium burst off.
I deleted my explosion. This wasn't the proper
It's fine.
explosion anyway. Yeah. That's funny.
I should have just dragged in a gas cloud with me, and I'll do that next time. So it'll go off around him. I'll set the figure up to do that.
I actually have
Okay, so
fog.
he triggers, and whoa!
Wrong asset. I have a ground fog that's appropriate for this.
Hey, I know that asset set.
Yeah,
I use those effects too.
I have a green one, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I can never remember where anything is sorted.
So Alloy triggers again.
Okay. Sean, you're not even going to get to shoot.
Does 22 damage.
Okay.
Which I assume stuns them again.
Oh, definitely.
I think they're knocked out now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Alloy in stealth mode is strangely powerful.
Oh yeah. If he had been spotted, then maybe it wouldn't be the case. But because he was small, even his failed stealth wasn't so bad. Okay, you all, Faceless Team Fighter A, you all have held actions, and you see another explosion go off. Do you do anything, or are you continuing to hold?
All we see is like more
Green
More
clouds.
green gas.
Cloud.
And it's continuous enough that it looks like whatever blew the last time is still blowing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and make an intelligence roll for your 2 guys, if you will.
Okie doke. Any modifier or just like naked intelligence?
Yeah, just Nate, straight up.
All right.
We're just not good for the rolls today. No. I mean, you're still hoping the best for your guys over there. Maybe you're even still screaming, "Jump off the ship! Get out!"
Probably. For God's sake, get in the water!
What are you doing? Why aren't you moving?
These masks aren't rated for bio-warfare! Or, I guess he wouldn't. I guess he'd probably say like radiological warfare, just whatever the.
Well, he wouldn't know it's polonium. It would be. He would either think biological or chemical. Yeah.
Okay. If it's not, okay.
Unless he had a Geiger counter. I did ask. Do you have a Geiger counter?
Nope. No Geiger counters anywhere on this large, ominous boarding craft.
So, segment 9, you want to try to do anything with you guys? If not, I'm going to move into 10.
No, they're going to keep their guns trained, waiting for anything to come over the side.
Okay, so I'm going to say the ground fog turns off because it's not constant or continuous.
Yes, it's not. It would have just blown away by the wind and spread out. Yep.
Okay.
As all the surface of the ship is coated with radioactive poison. But let's worry about that later. Right, so they're all unconscious, correct?
Oh yes.
And
all right, so
with that cloud cleared, before we move into 12, faceless fighters do you want to do anything?
With the cloud cleared?
See the cloud dissipate, and you have the option on 11 to use your held phase if you want to.
Yeah, that's what just in case you want to run into the danger. Just in case.
Let me just roll this real quick.
Intelligence rolling it.
All right, yeah. So, soldier, faceless fighter number 1 is gonna take one hand off of his rifle and just gesture forward for the other guy, like, check it out.
Poor number 3. Poor number 3's going in to his doom.
How far can he move?
12. That's it.
12 at.
That's right.
If I read the movement right, it's 12 at combat speed and 24 non-combat speed.
That's right.
Do I have? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He just can't quite see over the railing to see Alloy. That's such a shame.
That is such a shame.
Oh, that is a shame.
So 3 went.
But hey, maybe that means he can't get hit by the cloud from here.
We're gonna hope. Okay, fighter team A number 1, you're still gonna hold. Keep that.
Yeah. Number 1 is still gonna hold, and number 2 is just gonna continue searching for anything that could help.
Okay, so you will lose your phase held. We're at the top of turn 2, segment 12.
Do you have a lay down?
I do, but I'm lazy right now, so.
Okay.
Unless you want to use it.
Okay. So
they're all gone.
So I have to ask a game perspective. Some champions GMs, when someone's knocked out, they won't bring them back in a combat, especially if they're kind of mooks, you know. How do you run it? If they're going to come back, then I need to do something about them. And if they're not going to come back and they're just unconscious, then I can walk away. If that makes sense.
That's funny, but for Alloy, would Alloy know well enough about how much damage he has done to these folks? Like, how far gone are they?
Well, I know they're unconscious. If they look heavily unconscious and quite badly skin burned, if there's any skin, well, it will go straight through their clothing anyway. Mm-hmm. But if he sees them kind of thrashing around in pain while they're unconscious, he'll most probably walk away from them. If he sees them just laying still, he might just bend the barrels of their guns before he does anything.
Yeah, they are definitely still and at least 3 recoveries away from being able to participate again.
Okay.
Or sorry.
All right. So he doesn't consider them much of a threat.
Yeah, agreed.
So when I did look over the edge and look around in this place, did I see? As far as I can see like effectively small armored cars.
Yep.
Correct me if my impression is wrong. I see 2 large guns perched on the side, and then some attack choppers at the back, which didn't appear in the air or didn't appear active at the moment.
That's right.
Okay. Did the guns in any way to the side, when I was looking, and that may not be now, obviously, when I was looking, did the guns to the side appear to be moving or doing anything, or were they stationary?
They were stationary. Maybe make an intelligence roll to see if you would understand what types or what, maybe just kind of like a assumption of what kind of gun. And I think you won't know what type of guns they are, but you know that they would move.
Okay.
But you don't know if they're physical or energy, because you haven't seen them fire.
No, that's absolutely fine. So I'm not going to kind of blow up again. I don't really think that's necessary right now. I've got. Can I please have a check for perception if you're okay with this, to determine if I hear anyone walking up the bridge?
Yeah, so it'll be a half
the walkway.
It'll be a half phase action, but yes, you can.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm prepared to do that.
Okay.
Because it informs my next action.
Yeah, you do hear a lonely, tepid fighter making his way up the ramp. You hear something moving up the ramp. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tuck myself under the railing, if such a thing would be feasible.
Yeah, they're just real.
Can you assume then, for the moment, that I've tucked myself carefully underneath the railing, in my shrunken state, waiting to see, and hiding effectively?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that
So
is your full then. So you perceived and then you moved and got into a position.
perceived and half moved and hid, basically. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay.
Brown and Raz.
Also, take the time to keep an eye on them to see whether they move. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones behind you. Yeah, they're not moving. Okay. Team A fighters, what are you doing?
All right.
And
Fighter number 1.
Yeah.
He's going to. He's just going to keep his rifle trained on that railing.
Okay.
So he's just going to keep doing that. Number 2 is going to start seeing if he can look through one of the crap. I think I moved him too far. No, that seems like it was about right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Think.
Yeah, he's out of combat, but he's searching through to see if you've got anything that can deal with.
So he's going to start
biological weapons.
The nearest armored car. Number 1's just going to wait for an enemy to show himself, and number 3.
What does he do?
Number 3 is not enthused about his job right now. He's going to he's gonna probably leaning his head back, trying to just dip, just get up a little bit, just peek over, just to see what he can see while exposing as little of himself as possible.
So is he actually gonna get right here, kind of craning over, and then kind of? Yeah. Are you using your other half action to look down?
Oh, don't forget, the bridge will have clamps as it comes over, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. So it's.
I was trying to be underneath. I couldn't push myself back without falling over, but I was trying to be as underneath as I can. So typically, it wouldn't be visible, if that makes sense, or trying not to be.
Got it.
Yeah, like hiding under the bit of the ramp that protrudes over the railing.
Yeah, the bit of the clamp going over. That's why I positioned myself there. Yeah.
So yeah, he probably wouldn't see you initially then, because he's probably just gonna come up to the edge, perch on the edge of the ramp, and just look around as best he can. He might even be prone on top of the ramp, just
crawling across it now. Yeah,
just to present as small a target as possible.
So and Alloy heard you climbing up, but wouldn't see you until you make your way over the edge. I don't know, when you get down on kind of on your belly and you're crawling over that edge. I think that drop down, Alloy, maybe make a perception roll, see if you hear what's happening there.
Okay, sure.
Okay, you don't. So you heard him coming up, but at some point in time, he kind of dropped down, and you just don't know exactly at which point he's at yet on the bridge.
Okay, but technically, he's just crawled over he's on top of the clamp that I'm hiding underneath.
That's
in my vision.
Yes, very much horror movie. The monster's on one side and the good guys on the other side, and they're behind the wall from each other, and they don't see each other yet.
Yeah, I hesitate to ask
who's the monster. I
was thinking who's who. Yeah,
who's the monster?
Yeah, which plays right into Alloy's feeling about himself, right?
Yeah, and maybe in the comic book panel there is a split scene where the half of the top panel is the faceless fighter, and he's got this covered face, and he's looking down, and then the bottom of it is Alloy sitting underneath looking up, and they can't see each other because the clamp is separating them, and that is the question, maybe off to the side, a monster separated by whatever, and that's the readers totally get that question.
In the little yellow narration boxes, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Alloy's got time to burn effectively because 12 is going to finish, right? And there's nothing wrong with a free recovery while he's waiting. So he waits for the free recovery.
And team number one, A number one is just going to he's going to lose his held because he's not your teammate is kind of crawling on his belly, so you don't really get a signal, I assume.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
He might next turn start going up because he sees his buddy is fine, but
Okay. Take those recoveries, anybody that needs them.
Is this a post-segment 12 recovery?
Uh-huh.
Yay!
Uh-huh. You're in segment 3.
It would be so awkward if one of the B squad guys regained consciousness.
Yeah, I don't ever like to take the risk away from players, I think. There's sometimes when I'm moving the story and I've got a bunch of players involved, but with a solo storyline, why would I? I think that's my hesitation. I don't know that I want to take it away because it feels real that it does. The threats don't go away, you know?
Yeah, otherwise you can just time out people, right? You just wait.
Yeah, but when it's just your story, why not keep them as a threat?
Okay. So I kick off on 3 again, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
One side note to that, Jason, is that does kind of put player characters in the position of kind of like the D&D mindset where, no, I've got to kill him, otherwise I've got to worry about him behind me the whole time.
Yeah, which is where I was going for at the beginning, which is the question. Yeah.
Or you could entangle them.
Yeah, you don't have to.
If you have an entangle, otherwise it's okay. Now I have to hit him so hard he will not wake up.
Yeah, I know they've got 3 or 4 recoveries. They look that kind of wounded, but they've just had one, so they're going to come back anytime soon.
It kind of depends on the comic bookiness or the reality side of it that you want to go with. Yeah,
it does.
Or if you do the action movie thing where hitting somebody on the head can just knock them out.
Yeah, and you never see them again in the movie, except in some other role for whatever reason, because they were cheap.
Okay, so Alloy, strangely, is going to force yet another recovery on his 3, because he's endurance bound as one of his issues as a character. He's quite fine-tuned in endurance way, so gathering endurance back up again is of benefit to him.
So he's going to take a recovery.
He's going to take another recovery, yeah.
Okay.
Which puts him back on 102.
Awesome. So just to...
102 minus 10, that makes 92. Sorry, there we go.
So we're at the top of the hour. We started 15 minutes late. I'm glad to go 15 more minutes. Is everybody comfortable with that time?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I just don't want to be... I always cap everything at 2 hours. That's what we do. And
I'm just lying around here anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good for as long as everyone else wants to keep playing, to be honest.
Okay, cool. All right, so we are at the top of 4, and Brown and Captain Statham are going to... Not Captain, but Brown is going to... And Raz are going to kind of creep around because they haven't heard any firing in a while. Oh
no.
Don't do it, Raz.
They're going to get shot. They're going to get shot.
There's more to live for, Raz. Good. Oh my gosh. I'll make better colliders next time. Okay.
Is he going to go down there?
Well, he didn't get the chance to because he only went 12 on that turn. But they are going to start moving.
12.
Yeah. So he is back up there. You hear over the PA. How would he refer to you? Because he wouldn't know. Oh gosh. Yeah, you hear over the PA. Montoya, make the exchange now. Montoya, and you'd Statham. Someone's gonna have to come and get me. And he even says, "Your faceless fighters are subdued by what would he call you? a miniature metal man.
You've got some kind of tiny radiation slinging robot loose on the ship.
Yeah. Send in more fighters. Send in more fighters.
And I'm gonna presume that PA system is loud enough for all of Team A to hear.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Except maybe number 2 if he happens to have his head like buried inside the armored car at the moment.
No, they hear it. They hear it.
All right.
Okay. Team A.
First of all, a quick memory probe. Are there more fighters?
Yeah,
or is it literally just these 6 dudes?
Yeah, there are more folks, but they're going to have to make their way up. They weren't expecting a fight, so they're kind of like underneath. But you would know that there are more fighters onto this facility. Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah. Would number 1 be able to like start that process without like, is he gonna have to run over to like a wall-mounted like PA system on the facility or something, or does he have like a little lapel or earpiece radio he could just use?
Yeah, he could just call for backup. Yeah, he could do that.
All right, yeah, he's gonna call for backup, and he's gonna start making his way up the ramp.
Okay.
And number 2 is there any chance he finds anything helpful in the armored car?
No, there's nothing helpful for biological warfare in the car. There are weapons on the car, like mounted weapons. You gonna Dukes of Hazzard this thing?
Can I? That would be really funny.
Oh, of course you can.
Okay, so number 2 is going to like climb into the armored car and like reason to himself like, well, it's probably some kind of biological weapon, but like, come on, these things are built tough. What are the chances it can get through all of this?
Yeah, not lead lined.
He's not thinking about that. He's also not thinking about the obvious hole, like chinks in the armor, like the windshield and the doors. He's not thinking about that right now.
That's awesome. And you have to make a horn sound when you come over. Okay. Okay. So he is fighter 2. Fighter 1 moved up, took his full movement.
Fighter 1 is gonna move up.
I think it has to be from where it was. Yeah.
Yeah, his full combat movement, and then
2.
he'll like yell at number 3, go secure the target. And number 3 is going to basically just go for the bridge as quickly as he can.
Okay. So he's jumping. How fast can you? And the bridge is up here.
Right.
So he can go 12, right?
He can go 12. He could go 24 if he drops all combat stats, whatever, I think. I don't know. But he could definitely go 12.
Yeah, if you drop all your combat, you can get up here.
He's probably going to do that. Number 3 is not having a good day.
Screw this.
Yeah, he's kind of an attitude of like, yeah, okay, just go get the target, and then it'll be great. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Not going to deal with whatever the crazy radiation cloud thing is. Not even going to worry about that.
So you go non-combat, and you don't even get a chance to perceive the mighty metal man.
Yeah, no, he's not even
beneath. Yeah, so
he's probably noticed the fellow soldiers lying unconscious, and he's just like, you know what? Screw this. Screw all of this. I am just going for the objective.
Okay.
And I'm going to hope I outrun the awful cancer cloud.
Okay, so you made your way over. You have your DCV negative. Or is it 0 DCV now?
That sounds right, yeah. For non-combat movement, 0 DCV, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Amaraka, you get recoveries on all your guys. And then we are at What's up with 6? And Alloy goes again. Is he becoming the monster? What will he do?
It's half DCV, 0 OCV.
I had it backward. Thank you.
Yep. It's easy to
Okay,
forget.
so Alloy foregoes defense mode and goes into strength mode. His density increases, which is challenging. The ship will rock slightly as his density increases. He effectively returns to normal human size. But his strength oops. Do you want me to do it? Let me scale him up. Right, so his strength has gone up dramatically. He watches the other guy running off down towards the bridge without paying him any attention, and he turns around. He looks at the guy that's on the bridge, or on the gangway, and literally tries to rip the magnets and the whole one side of the bridge off, and literally tosses it back over and flips it back towards the thing that's in the water in front of him. You know, the big base. So basically, he tries to disconnect the ship from the magnetic grappling on the bridge, and then toss the bridge over.
Yeah, and given the strength
on the bridge is going to retort with one of those like cut off swears where he's just like, "Holy sh!" and then
yes, you
whatever
see
happens is happening.
You see the comic book panel where he just, and I don't even think with Alloy's 100 strength that this is his signature power, right? And I love this moment where in the comic book you see it. He grips onto it and maybe even bends the ramp because of the strength of his hands, and then just pushes it back. And Soldier or Faceless Fighter Team A number 1, you have breakfall, so I think you can try to not get smushed by this thing if you want to make that. But if not, that could definitely be a character changing moment for Alloy. So,
sure.
you have a skill breakfall under the skills section of your.
Are there any penalties for?
No, just going to give you a straight breakfall for this.
Okay.
Okay, so he falls and is hurt, but he falls like over this way, and rolls. I don't know if I can actually. Yeah, so he's like fallen. That didn't work. And I don't. Can I do it?
Wait.
Nice.
Let's just see if I can make it one back. So it pushed back. And Alloy, you see this man just barely miss being crushed by the ramp, and it's kind of destroyed even a part of the dock of the facility. So you clearly would know if he had been under that, it would have been lights out dead. He would have been a paste, but he didn't.
Yep.
If number 1 had lost an arm there, legit just could have had him turn out to be commandant down the line.
Oh man, do you want that? You could have it.
No, don't do it. Alloy wouldn't be happy about it. No.
We've already played it.
And I think I've already more or less committed commandant to the IRA.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so turn 6. The ship is just back and forth. They're splashing all over. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be rocking right now significantly.
Yeah.
So Alloy's running at full strength right now. So, and high density. So footsteps on the deck go in effectively. The metal distorts as he stands on it. That kind of level of density.
Oh, I've lost my. Why do I not have measure on? Okay. Brown moves up and kind of sees you in full on move, in Alloy.
Yeah. Now, there is one important thing. Alloy looks different from Charlie because he can control what he looks like. It's purchased as. Let me just make sure I'm quoting correctly. It's purchased as. Scroll back. Shapeshift, and he's humanoid, but does not look like Charlie.
Huh.
Now he's bald for a start. Yeah. So on and so forth. So he does not look like Charlie.
Okay,
He's bigger, beefier, and tougher than Charlie.
So he sees a super, right? A mutant or whatever he thinks. Yeah.
Yes, silver humanoid, metallic skinned humanoid.
Captain comes over. Captain comes over the speaker, and he screams, "Get me out of here, Montoya! Get one of those copters over here now!" And you can tell he's scared, but he is requesting.
Do you know what's really funny? Charlie's alternate identity that he travels under is Charles Montoya.
Really?
Yeah. So that's just hilarious because he keeps on looking up at the bridge, going, "What the hell?
What? How does he know?"
Is he asking me to get him out of the bridge? Perhaps he's locked in the bridge. I could rip the bridge off.
That's funny.
Although I wouldn't want to walk on the second deck of this. The main deck, I'm okay. At the moment, and only because it's metal and built to take containers.
So, Faceless Fighter Team A1, what are you doing?
Well, I'm imagining he's probably prone, because don't you have to make a break fall by a bit?
Oh yeah, and I just gave that to give you the benefit of not dying, but just falling from there, you were going to take some damage. So I bet he's probably even, stunned at the best. He just fell from being flipped on a thing.
Yeah. He would have.
He's probably he's gonna need a moment.
Yeah, I'll say that. Let's just say he is stunned at least.
He's effective. If you treat it like knockback, effectively, he's gone back 20 foot or 20 inches.
Yeah, so he is, and the only thing he did that break fall for was to not get crushed, but he's out. Then he's knocked out.
Yeah, he is probably unconscious then.
Yeah, and you don't get your Dukes of Hazzard moment now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, shame.
Fighter
Didn't fancy going 1-on-1 with an armored car until I got an advantage.
Fighter dude number 2 is going to either hearing or seeing out the window the commotion, shall we say. He's gonna slip out of the armored car, which is, I imagine, probably a half phase action because this car looks fairly complicated.
Yeah, he's kind of go under the monkey bars to get out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's ducking out and going, "What the? Oh man!" And then he's gonna go, "Wait, did the guy say helicopter?" And he's just gonna glance over at the helicopters, and back at the wreckage of the ramp, and he's gonna just nod to himself. Yeah, helicopter.
Okay.
He can fly a helicopter?
He does have combat piloting.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I'm gonna have to destroy that helicopter.
So, and I think he can only move 6 on a half phase. So
That's right.
That is what he does.
Okay, Team B is getting recoveries again. Team A3, there is a ladder there. So if you want, there's not, but there is. If you wanted to actually get up there, I think you could in this move, and that would be it.
Yeah, he's gonna do that. He's gonna get up to the.
No, he's not.
Just kidding. It's a trap floor.
Okay. And so you get there, and when he gets there, there is a conversation that's happening, and the Captain Statham opens the door. You can't go in yet, but the door is open.
Okay.
Okay. Recoveries for Team B. We're at segment number 9.
took him.
I would ask what bits of the conversation he caught, but you know what? Let's see if he makes it out of this first.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question.
Uh-huh.
That's a really, really subtle question. That guy that's running around behind me is currently my only threat, as far as I can see. Yeah, because everyone else I've dealt with.
Well, make a perception roll, actually. I was going to instruct you to do that anyway. You just threw the ramp off, and you either notice this or you don't. Let's see. Yeah.
Yep.
The turrets are glowing with yellow energy.
Okay, because I'm back in normal mode now, so my ED's back up.
Okay.
I mean, so I switched to default mode. Effectively. So that's my standardized kind of approach. It's a mix of all of that stuff. So I'm less strong right now.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that's going to be an issue. And it's 90 meters away, so I'm going to super leap.
What? That's awesome.
Straight. Ah, and of course it's never going to stand, is it?
It will. It will.
Right through the floor.
Nope, you don't get to.
Yeah.
I think we have it.
Like,
I think we can actually get him right here. Oh, he's naked.
It's like, man, I'm really getting my money's worth on that trap floor.
Yeah. So he leaps over with his super leap and then moves through the door with the super leap. So he's inside the bridge. Yeah.
Poor soldier number 3.
You should now be absolutely terrified. You're watching this kind of significantly, taller than average guy, made of metal, just literally. I'm curious actually, because let me just check what the strength is actually set to at this level, because I've got it. My overall strength is 45 right now. So if I half strength casual it, that becomes 4.5 d6. Is that and I don't know. It's a question because I don't know what the door's like. Is that enough? Oh, I can't make an attack, can I? No, because I leaped.
But it's open already. It's open when.
No, it wasn't that I was looking to do. I was making sure that the door wasn't going to close again.
It's not about opening the door. It's about sending a message.
Oh.
Yeah. But you can do casual. If I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong. You can do casual without incurring action, can't you? Because that's the whole point of it only being half strength.
Like if a door is open, like opening a door through a move, yes, you can.
Yeah. So my casual move is to try and basically pull the door off with effectively a strength of, or damage the door, or do something that shows extreme strength. Literally with effectively 22.5 strength or 23 strength in game. By the time you keep on halving it down, I'm at 45 at the moment. Casual would be 23. So I use 23 strength to try and damage the door in some way. So the guy in front of me knows that I'm super strong. Is that feasible?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one just because it's like a metal door bolted on with iron hinges, and 23 is strong, but I don't know that it's going to rip it off its hinges.
Well, you know what I could do? If it's like that door right there with the spinny wheel thing, on the front,
Yeah.
Okay. 22 strength would be able to most probably bend the metal on that. I'm not saying pull it off or anything, but it would bend and give with 22 strength, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah, and I won't make you roll that. So you're just trying to bend it in or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bend the circular thing so that it deforms, and I look over at the soldier. Yeah, straight in his face while doing that.
Yeah, that's
probably heard whatever unholy sounds you leaping off of the metal deck of the boat made, if it made any.
Yeah. Well, the clanging sound as he landed, without density increase, I'd like to point out, as he landed.
He's probably staggering back, flailing his arms behind him because he doesn't dare take his eyes off of the crazy shiny metal man who just dropped in.
Yeah, and
he's probably gonna stumble back and fall on his butt, and just.
That would be an incredible presence attack there, Alloy.
Yes, but I didn't know whether presence took an action.
No, it doesn't.
Presence doesn't even take time.
I couldn't remember, so I'm fine to run it as a presence attack. And I think that's kind of reasonable. I don't have a problem with doing that. Let me just check his characteristics. He's got
I like your
presence. He's currently got 2.5 d6 presence. Yeah, and whatever bonuses the GM gives for that kind of maneuver.
Yeah, 2 dice.
All right, so it goes up to 4.5 d6. Yeah. All right, so here we go. And what do you measure with presence? Is it body or is it total or what?
Total dice.
Yeah, 9. It's not very impressive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
9 total versus his presence, so he.
Yeah, it didn't get him. He's not. He is.
As surprising as this sounds, he is not odd.
I could do that.
Okay.
He is startled. He is jump scared, but he is not odd. He's like, freaking superheroes, man.
Yeah.
Sneak up on you.
So you don't lose your phase. You don't lose half or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Alloy, in that room, you see the captain.
Yep, that was the plan.
Yep. Turn 10, turn 11, segment 12. Alloy goes first.
Alloy moves into the bridge
and
slams the door behind him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I can use that with casual strength, right? I don't need anything fancy with that.
Yeah, of course.
And I go and pick up the captain effectively by the front of his jacket kind of thing. And demand to know what's happening. What is happening?
Yeah, so roll your 4 dice again and see, or whatever it was, because this is another minute.
4.5.
Yeah, and let's see if you can roll better, and maybe use if you have to.
Yeah, let me just check one thing. I was trying to see. I don't think he's got intimidate. No, he doesn't. All right, so roll it. Come on, do better this time.
Hey!
Yeah, so you've exceeded his presence, and not a lot. Not by a lot. He's got a 15 presence because he's a captain. And he, but he is kind of impressed. Like with it, he obviously you picked him up off the ground, and just for story element, he will say, and because he's also watched you do these smoke clouds and all this good story stuff, so he's afraid. I made a deal, okay? I made a deal. He's ashamed.
With who?
Us.
Us.
Us. As I roll a grenade into the room.
Yeah. No, the door's shut. The door's shut. This ship will soon belong to the leaders of the Free Energy Resistance. You're messing everything up.
Okay, so although I, as a human being, have read the stuff, the background, I know who they are. Charlie, not much so interested. So that is what it is. I'm kind of looking at him like, are you crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, just quit it. Just let me give my ship to them, and then we'll be on our way. They'll take us to New York. No one has to get hurt.
I don't think so. Let's see how Charlie can do it against an entire huge submarine base worth of people then, shall we? Yeah.
Poor man just wants to sell his ship.
Just trying to make a decent retirement fund, man.
Okay, so obviously that's the end of. So presence attack was free.
And there's a conversation happening in there, but that's the amount of information. And you can have any other questions you want, but that's going to be a turn unless you. No, that's a turn because you're having a chatty chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I assume that he will kind of, why are you doing this, and shake the guy, but not shake the guy.
Yeah, with your 45 strength. Yeah. Okay.
Charlie tends to be quite conscientious about his strength.
So I'm going to do some things out here. Car, move, soldiers, people are moving. Oh, I just lost a vehicle. I just lost it entirely. So some of these vehicles are moving. People jump out and are working on that ramp.
I think I will ask, because it was a whole turn, and I asked like one question realistically.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him what's in the containers.
He says the containers are empty.
Now, would Charlie have known that when he was lifting them?
Yeah, that's a fair point. He would have known. Maybe so you would have asked, why do we have empty containers?
Yeah. So why do we have empty containers?
He... How would he know it? The Elvers part of the deal included empty containers. They want to use them for something, but I don't know what.
Okay. All right. Fine. I've got a real problem now as a person, as a player. I kind of want to start knocking people out in a way that's going to put them down. But obviously they're going to get loads of recoveries, so it's going to be a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah. But I'm also we're out of time, so we can narratively wrap up the remainder of the session. It just depends on what your motivation is. We could also continue this session on into the next session, and then we can just schedule because there are so many different ways this can go. Yeah.
Okay, so fundamentally, Charlie's primary aim at this point, or his plan, nascent that it is, will be to take the guy, is to in some way knock out the, flick to the forehead, knock out the captain, go and disarm. Sorry, no. Then go to, because I saw the guns power up, didn't I?
Yep.
Then go to the back, pick up a container, and throw it at each of the guns. In the back, pick one up at the back, throw it at the gun to that side, and then carry another container around and throw it at the gun at the other side. But obviously move nearer to do it, and use the containers for shielding, basically.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
While doing it. And also then as I'm walking, eventually get to the guys on the floor and bend the barrels of their guns and rip their hoods off. Is what my current plan was going. After that, I was going to super leap down onto the deck and start throwing trucks into the water and helicopters into the water.
Yeah. So let's say
and then get back on the ship and then sail off to New York.
Okay. And honestly, we could have a whole session on that, or we could just say narratively that happens, and then you basically have destroyed not the base, but you definitely foiled an Elfer attempt here, and I don't know that you would know what they were trying to do because you were very much focused on destroy the whole thing. And I think it's just cool. So maybe while some of the Elfer soldiers are coming up, you're throwing containers at the helicopters and the trucks and all that good stuff, and then you do all that stuff, and then you do, because you have the sailing, navigation, all that stuff, you can navigate this ship and do off into the sunset.
So my question as a person rather than as Charlie was, I'm fine with that ending. I'm also fine, depending upon everyone else's boredom level, playing that out. Not tonight, because I know that we're coming to an end, but at another time, because Champions always looks cool when you're throwing things around. But more than that, I suppose the bit that does concern me somewhat is how on earth was this supposed to play out, or was it just kind of completely free ending? No idea how it's going to end.
Oh, like what did I have planned? I had actually planned the exchange of the ship, right, where LFR actually owned the ship, and I was giving you the opportunity to choose LFER if you wanted to. Like that interaction, however it went, if you And it was just not a test, but almost like a temptation. See if you allowed the peaceable transfer. And I'm really surprised you didn't. You, for some reason, didn't let the captain give over his own ship to Elfer, and now you've stolen. Yeah, I'm so. Yeah.
Charlie's take on it. Armed men, attack helicopters, armed submarine base just attacked him.
Yeah. Well,
I was gonna say the giant submarine boarding facility.
Yeah, that did it. That did it for you, huh?
Not a great first impression.
Well, so the captain made a deal, and he didn't include his crew in the deal. That's the problem, right? That's the problem.
So what was going to happen to the crew?
They would have been. Yeah, they would have been captured, and if they would have been either captured or killed, so that the ship could be taken over, and with a super involved, you would have had the opportunity to be introduced to Elfer, and they would have valued you, but it didn't happen that way.
Well, they do value him, but as an enemy.
Now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got to be honest. I'm strong enough to destroy that vessel, most probably.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd do it because of the loss of life. But the dock area, I can make a complete mess of.
Oh yeah, just pounding into it with your bare fists, you probably could. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave them a little gift. I mean, the aim was originally to throw the containers to knock out the guns and then smash all the other equipment on the deck.
Yeah.
So, if people with multiple guns come up, I'll just leap back on board the ship and start sailing away.
Okay, and that'll happen with the wreckage you're creating, and you foiled the transfer of the they need that ship for whatever reason they need it for, and you have foiled that. And so, yeah, you are not a friendly potential partner for them now.
And that's okay. I'm not too sure Charlie would have lent in that direction initially, especially if potentially the crew could have been killed and other people could have been hurt. And anyone threatening him with automatic weaponry is not going to be on his side, if you see what I mean. So
yeah,
I'm okay with his response. He did get a little nervy when the guy went flying, and he thought, "Oh my god, what have I done?" Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then again, that was the cold moment, right? The cold moment was just detach the bridge.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking about the person on the bridge. He was thinking this bridge. Yeah. Totally.
So that's his.
Totally justifiable, and I think it's really cool. I think it's neat that your unalignment allows your character just to be whatever, and naturally you're going to come across these folks, and no one's actually seen Elfer in play in the games yet, so this is just the first introduction of Elfer, and Elfer is supposed to be a middle road, right? They break some of the rules, but they also don't just try to kill everybody, but they're obviously doing something nefarious, or who knows, in the middle of the ocean. I assume then you've wreaked havoc on this facility, and they did try to fight you, but you destroyed their ability to, and rode off into the sunset. That's the way I'm.
Well, I'm assuming there's some doors or platforms somewhere. I just quite literally shove an armored car in a door until it fits tight. And basically block them getting out.
Okay.
And then the guns are smashed, and I smash the helicopters and kick the crates off the side and all kinds of slightly annoyed bits.
Gosh.
The guys, I rip their weapons out of their hands and just scare them into running away into the corner, and then I leap back on the ship and try and hide somewhere on the ship, and then kind of come back as Charlie.
And there's a phone booth somewhere on the ship that he goes into. And then
one assumes he slips down in one of the other decks, grabs his duffel bag and slips down into one of the other decks and changes. And says, "But they're all gone. I hid."
Yeah. Roz, what happened? Brown, what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with that as an ending? Does that fit? I think it's quite reasonable. And people have got away with more than that in comic books. Let's face facts, right?
Well, and it's your story too. So these guys are playing.
It seems very thematic. Yeah.
Very cool. I
Yeah,
just like
and
the idea of him riding off in the sunset behind the helm of the ship, and just it's like he's commanding the ship now. I think that's great.
Yeah.
For some reason, this sunset panel where he's just thinking through everything that just happened, just a day's work, or I thought I was going to escape this type of life or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe there's a realization he won't have much choice in the future. Maybe that's the dawning realization in that final panel.
Yeah.
Perhaps because the guy kept on, shouting. I assume the captain. I'm just going to knock unconscious, and I'll tie him up, and we'll sort that out later. I'm sure his crew won't be happy with him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But realistically, yeah, Charlie slips back into being Charlie rather than Alloy again, and is secretly proud, because like all boys with new toys, is really relishing the fact that he managed to do all of that. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah. He took
It's
out
like, wow.
all those folks and really brute strength and oh yeah.
Well, effectively, it's his Hulk moment, right? I mean, that's what it comes off as for him. Like, wow, I did all of that, and that's he wouldn't have had a chance to unleash like that. So, from a role-playing point of view, this is the first temptation of his superpower. This is the bit where he suddenly realizes he might not become a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well as because up till then he's seen himself always from the perception of like changing and being horrible and becoming something he doesn't want to be, and then suddenly he gets a little burst of power and realizes that there's other things that could happen.
Well, I love it, and I think as a reader of a book, you would definitely see that Charlie wants to do the right thing. Like he felt like whatever there was happening here, there was a deal, and he missed all the streetwise rolls to get any idea of, because that was the best part. He was oblivious to it in the beginning, and then finally he finds out that there's a deal happening, and he foils the deal because he thinks it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and so he unconsciously went with that, although driven by the guys with automatic weaponry, but he went for the right thing, which is the basic thrust of the character. So
yeah,
that works.
Really cool, man. So
I just want to say that was really enjoyable.
Oh, great.
It was great. It was great to play Alloy because like he's complex as far as characters in Champions goes, and it was good to see how that manifested in game. And to see some of the maneuvers I'd envisaged kind of running around shrunken down, kind of with little explosive gas clouds all around me and all the rest. I'd worked out that I could do it, but I never actually thought would it work or not.
Yeah, it did.
So yeah, it was really good.
Oh, great! I'm glad you had a great time. Zuka and Amaraka, thanks for playing the NPCs. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks. It was great.
Everybody that played NPC or PC gets an experience point for this session. And if you have the inclination, once I post the session report, you can write a narrative about it. I think we say the minimum is like 300 something words, just as long as it's an effort. You get an extra experience point. And for a limited experience point game, we feel like that's a pretty awesome written journals plus session, potential for 2 experience points each.
No, I'm absolutely fine with that, and I will indeed be writing a session update. It was really good. It played right into, and thank you for the scenario. It played right into Charlie. If anything, I'm pleased it played out like it did with him failing all the street rolls.
Oh, me too. Me too. And just the fortuitousness of the Wanderer being on the Wanderer. Like, I don't know if you're interested in putting any points into having a vehicle and that vehicle being a merchant ship. I'm kidding. I'm very much kidding.
But it would be highly amusing. He sails off into the sunset looking for something else.
That could be his shtick in the campaign. He assembles a pirate crew of supers.
That's great. No, I don't know if that's where he was going with it.
So next stop, as far as I understand it, is to make sure we're in alignment, will be New York, right?
Yeah, unless you have some other thing that you want to do. I mean, you're outside of Bermuda, but yeah.
No, New York is good. Charlie's always wanted to see the world, and New York's a big bit, and I've lived and in New York before, so it would be nice to be back there and experience it as Charlie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I have some things planned. So this was an Elfer outpost, and there is there are 2 Elfer cells in New York. One that is the authorized cell, and then the one that is the rogue Elfer cell that was behind the New York blackouts. So once you get in New York, because you've had this interaction with Elfer, you're going to have probably more interactions with Elfer. If you want your character to be interacting with level 37 or IERA, that's totally fine. But otherwise, that's kind of the direction I'm headed in, is kind of exploring Charlie's middle groundness with or alongside the middle groundness of Elfer, because that's what they represent too. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Charlie very much is going to react to what he experiences. So from my point of view, I'm completely open for you interacting with any of the other group, with Charlie interacting with any of the other groups at any point, because it will influence where he goes. So
very cool.
Hey, come to New York. I'll show you how to hate Elfer.
I know you got a villain on the phone, so
yeah.
Villain is such a bad word. I have not killed anybody.
I know my character's killed a couple, and yours is over here holding back. I'm kidding.
I'd most probably have a fun time against villains, so that would be interesting.
I almost brought Maven in on this, but it's too soon, and I don't want Maven to die that fast. So
yeah, that would have been interesting. Punching someone with 100 strength is not good, especially mind you, from the pictures I saw, I think it's a she, isn't it? Looked non-human.
Yeah, she's like humanoid, but when she was born, her mother was vanishing, and so she's just got some weird stuff.
Yeah. Charlie would have less hookups about hitting someone who didn't look human. Yeah,
fantastic.
So
I'll keep her away. I've promoted everybody on the table. As always, if there's any assets anyone wants, just grab them, save them. I think you can now that you're promoted, and then we will. I'll leave my table up, but I'm going to stop the video, and then we will. Breno will just schedule another solo storyline. Maybe we can just in chat so we can figure out when you want to do it again.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Whenever you want. I really enjoyed it and would be so up for playing again. It was great.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Y'all have a good evening and afternoon.
Thank you very much, everyone who helped. Cheers.